Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Insert the music here. Insert the music here. All right. Good evening, tribe, and welcome to Merriwether's World. I am your host, Dr. Mark Merriwether Vorderbruggen, broadcasting to you live from a virtual version of Ravenscar, my backyard. It's actually my dining room, but I got green screen. Ah, green screen, green screen. Whoa, green screen. Okay, enough of that, because now I probably screwed everything up. Oh, yep, we got the blue fuzzies. Go away, blue fuzzies. Yeah, all right. Hey, good evening, people. So for those of you who don't know me, like I said, my name is Dr. Mark Merriwether Vorderbruggen, creator of the Foraging Texas media empire. And by empire, nothing, but also author of Idiot's Guide Foraging. Whoa, green screen special effects with the book. And of course, also the Wazoo survival bandana, also doing some green screening. Like I said, the color on this is actually much more vivid. It's just an artifact of the green screen. All right. So tonight on Merriwether's World, I am going to talk about the edible winter weeds of Texas. Quite often when people are contacting me about foraging classes, I suggest like February or December or something like that. They go, what? Yeah, their heads go back and their eyes get big. Yeah, and it's like, look, winter in Texas, whenever you say winter in Texas, you need to do the air quotes thing. Because, Texas really, unless you get really north of Dallas and up in the Panhandle, you're not getting much winter. In fact, what it boils down to is a lot of the summertime plants up north, like in Minnesota, where I grew up, are actually wintertime plants down here. They start showing up right about now, October, November, December, and go through the winter months, ending again in March, April, things like that. So our Texas winter, if you want to put things in perspective, is pretty much equivalent to northern summers, which is why it's Foraging Texas that I created and not Foraging Minnesota. All right, cool. We got people showing up. So as usual, got to start with some housekeeping stuff. Let me put some links up. So first off, most importantly, and let me see if I can do this. Whoa, yeah, wait, let me go to the right page. So like I said, I am the creator of Foraging Texas. There's over 225 plants on there right now. So if you scroll down on the left-hand side, there's all sorts of plants there alphabetically. There's also a search term box here where you can put names of plants, ecosystems, locations, medical properties, medical questions, everything like that. Hey, Melanie's here. We want to know how the test went tomorrow morning at the donut shop. But okay, so Foraging Texas, one of the really important things, though, is the upcoming classes. Where am I going to be doing live classes? And I will say the end of the year is coming close, so there's not much left. So yeah, really December 5th up in Royce City, Dallas area is about the last thing. Oh, and December 19th out at Spoke Hollow. Yeah, in the Austin area. And of course, on November 14th, I'll be out at Jesse H. Jones' Pioneer Days, which traditionally was a free roaming event, but due to coronavirus, it's still free, but now you need reservations. And last I heard, they are already booked up, so I don't know what is going to happen there. It sounds like a bunch of people are just going to crash the gates, though, so we'll see what happens. Okay, so yeah, Foraging Texas, and if you want to know what's going, go away, Google Ads. You want to know what's going on in Texas, that's where you go. All right, back to me. Click the button, back to me. Okay, a few other links that I got to put up, like I showed you, my book, 70 common plants all across North America. throw up a link for that. And I have to put up the disclosure that if you buy this book, I get money, because otherwise I get in trouble from the tax man. So I have to let you know that I get money if you buy my book. Now, that being said, I only get money if you buy it from this specific link that I put up to Amazon, because DK Publishing, creators of Idiot's Guide, actually don't pay royalties on the books. Long story, let's not get into it. Those are the main things. Oh, and throughout tonight, I may talk about different books or recommendations, and you can get all of this at my Amazon store, the Amazon.com shop, Foraging Texas. And then one other thing I got to put out there. You know what? No, I'm not. Well, yeah, I am. I need to update this, though. So also remember my current day job, and hopefully the day job and evening job and weekend job for the rest of my life is with the Medicine Man Plant Co. Yay, Medicine Man Plant Co. And so creator of fine herbal dietary supplements, the brain pill, immune pill, libido pill, gravity pill. I don't do that. The liver pill. Things like that. So check out the link, Foraging Texas, Medicine Man Plant Co., and learn about these products. Okay, almost getting to the good stuff, almost getting to why you're here. Just bear with me a little bit longer. So, like I said, instead of putting all the sponsors at the beginning, I'm breaking them up through everything. So I want to do a shout out to Wazoo Survival. Like I said, they are the ones that worked with me and Dr. Nicole Appelian about the Wazoo. Let me do one thing here and see if this helps. Hold on. Green screen, none. Look, that's what it's actually like. Does the colors? Okay, yeah. So now we got much more vibrant colors. And so these are what Dr. Nicole Appelian and I decided were the 12 best wild edible medicinal plants in North America in bandana form, with information on how to harvest them and all that sort of thing. So really, really good. And also, I just want to point out that Wazoo Survival is the one that pays for the StreamYard account that I use to broadcast these shows. So thank you, Wazoo Survival, for Merriwether's World and Donut Shop at the beginning of the world. Okay. All right. Let's jump in to, let me do this again. We're going to, whoops. Hold on. I miss having my assistant. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Hold on. Okay, stop screen, share screen, application window. There we go. Okay, let's start with dandelions, because that's one of those that everyone probably has heard. Dandelions are edible. And so, but they have lots of, did it go? There we go. All right, let's try this again. All right, so dandelions, very common weed. They're just starting to show up. And so we're going to talk about the proper identification of dandelions and quickly how to use them, and then move on to more. And I personally love dandelions because they have so many good health benefits, but also they are really, really, really beneficial to your soil and the overall health of your yard and really your ecosystem. So let's talk about that. First, identification. And I just so happen to have, let go, he says. So I have some dandelion. Now, key identifying characteristics. First, the leaves. The leaves grow in what's called a rosette form out directly from the root. The dandelion, a true dandelion, does not put out a stem that also has leaves on it. The stem just will have a single flower at the top, but each leaf is attached directly to the root, right where the root comes out of the ground, or where it kind of comes out of the ground there. So the leaves, they can be, this is one of the things about dandelions here. So the leaves are usually somewhat rounded on the tips. They don't really ever get pointy on the tips. So they end up in a slightly rounded shape. The edges are very jagged and uneven. So there is little to no symmetry in the leaf. It just decides, yep, I'm going to put a jag here. I'm doing a jag there. I'm going to do a jag there. If we can see it here. The vein structure is what we call pinnate. So it has one center vein and all the other veins come off it. So look at the vein center, vein type. It is pinnate. If we feel the leaf, oops, I got some dirt on my hands. There are no hairs, there's no fuzziness, there's no roughness. They're smooth top and bottom. So the dandelion, true dandelion leaves are bald. They lack any sort of hair. So moving on, the stem from the leaf, where it comes out of the root, it's going to be white, then turns kind of reddish, and then finally turns green and just swells into the leaf itself. So you got that? Okay. So those are the leaves: rosette, pinnate, rounded end, rough asymmetrical edges, hair-free, start white, turn red, and then end up being green. Now, let me pop back to the picture here. And I was going through and trying to find a really good picture of the stem and realized I don't have a really good picture of the stem. So this is the best picture I felt. And captured the essence of the dandelion stem. Oops, I'm getting dirt everywhere. The key thing to remember about a true dandelion is they can put up multiple stems. So we got two in this one already. We got the stem here and a stem here. The stems are going to be reddish, brown, or green, depending on their age. There may be fine hairs along them, but the key thing to remember is there will never be a leaf or more than one flower on the stem, and that one flower appears at the very end of the stem. So the stems, no leaves, and only one flower right at the end. Okay, good with that? Now the flower, let me go back here. So I do have some good pictures. Where did my good pictures of the flowers go? Okay, so if we look up at a close-up of the flower, one of the things I like pointing out is it's a little hard to see here, but the ray petals, the long petals, they'll have several rounded teeth at the end. And then the stamen, the male part of the core flowers there, has that curly Q. It comes up, splits into a curly Q. So that is your close-up of a dandelion flower. Like I said, other mimics will have and also pure yellow gold through the entire flower. Some of the mimics will have some brown stamen, or the ends will be flat, the ends of the petals will be flat, or just one rounded edge. But the true dandelion that has the curly Q stamens and the bumpy ends of the petal. All right. Oops, I got to bring it over here now. There we go. Okay. Then the root. So this is actually a very young dandelion. And so the root wasn't very big. You can see it did break off when I was pulling it out of the ground. The root, the core is yellow. The outside is kind of a tan yellow color. And then if I cleaned off the dirt, you would see it's a very kind of whitish at the transition between the root and the dandelion. A mature dandelion, the root can go down 12 feet, sometimes even 15 feet. A good one, it'll be a little thicker than my pinky. Not quite as thick as my index finger. So this one is still pretty young. But big, long taproot with fine hairs coming off it. That goes deep, deep, deep into the soil. Okay, so that is a dandelion. What do you do with it? Well, right now is the best time to get it. You want to get these greens. They are going to be somewhat bitter, so you need to do something to help deal with the bitterness. The easiest thing to do, and quite frankly, the absolute worst thing, because it's at the same time, to do is simply boil the leaves. And boiling will remove a lot of the bitterness. It will destroy the vitamin C content. It will remove any of the minerals in there. And basically what you're left with is some green sludge. Not good. My personal favorite thing to do with it is what my mom taught me, and that is the hot bacon grease. So if you've ever had a wilted salad, you take the greens, you mix it in with some all sorts of other blander greens, like lettuce and spinach and things like that. You cook up some bacon, you chop up the bacon, you put the chopped up bacon in with the salad, then you pour the hot bacon grease over the salad and it wilts the plant matter where it touches it. But in doing so, it also, the heat kind of flashes off a lot of the bitter flavor. But also when you eat it, then you're getting the bacon flavor. The grease kind of puts a layer on your tongue that kind of suppresses the bitter taste buds. So that works well. Another thing is mix it with something sour. So in this case, a vinaigrette dressing is a good choice. When you do that, you still want to dilute it some. You don't have to dilute it much. But the tongue has a hard time tasting sour and bitter at the same time, and sour overrides bitter. So it was very common just to use an apple cider vinegar or some other vinaigrette-based olive oil vinegar salad dressing on the dandelion greens, especially after hitting it with a little hot grease, and you're good to go. The flowers, and let me bring up another picture here. Boom, boom, boom. One last thing here, because there's quite a few plants. Okay, here we go. So if you are using the flowers to make dandelion jelly, dandelion wine, dandelion tea, anything like that, you want to take this green collar off, the calyx. Hopefully you can see it there. So all you want are the yellow petals, and this comes off real easy. Just split it, peel it off with your fingernails. The reason being is this dark green calyx here is extremely bitter. And so normally people find it unpalatable. So you take just the yellow petals. Now, as far as why are you going to eat it? Well, the nutritional value of dandelions is actually quite high. High in vitamin C, vitamin A, a number of minerals. They even have a small amount of protein and carbohydrates. So as far as nutrition, still you would have to eat a lot to get all the nutrients you would need, but they do supply a lot of the basic nutrients necessary for human life. So it's a good weed. And I mentioned the root. So the root going down 12 feet into your soil, it has 12 feet of soil from which to draw minerals from. The copper, the phosphorus, the calcium, the magnesium, the selenium, all these things you need. And so they're bringing these minerals back up to the leaves. And that's one of the things that makes the leaves so mineral rich, is you have this 12-foot column of, plants sucking up the minerals from the area. And then when the dandelion dies, you have a 12-foot length of organic matter rotting in the soil. So taking care of, enriching the soil to a very, very deep level. Okay, so dandelions, great winter weed out there right now, loaded with vitamin A, vitamin C, a bunch of minerals, and even a little bit of protein and carbohydrates. So excellent, excellent thing. In the world of plants, they are considered to be a superfood just because of the high nutritional value. Okay, people like the word calyx, and of course, the nurse is getting in on there too. Okay, to crank through things, mainly I will try and answer questions, but general comments, I'm just going to, you all can see them too. So away we go. Okay, next up, my other real favorite one, and I need to dry it off here. So, and I will say this next one that I'm about to show you is available like in the Houston area, winter or summer. So what we are looking at is a wild violet. So I don't know if you can see it here. Focus. It's not going to focus there. I need some way of being able to manually focus this. So, okay, Jennifer, medicinal uses of dandelion. I've actually covered those in other episodes. So at some point, I'm going to go back and I'll put up links to that. But tonight, I probably won't go much into medicinal. In the case of I will throw out dandelion, very, very, very potent diuretic. So it helps you pee. And so it's considered to be a blood cleanser from that because it's basically pumping out, urine and taking everything water, urine soluble with it. Okay. So wild violets. This is another common weed. In the wintertime, this thing will spread out into yards, into flower beds, pretty much everywhere where the soil is rich and somewhat damp. If you're out in West Texas, I have seen it out there, like around Midland and some of the other places. But generally, it's going to be along stream beds in shady areas. The sort of place you'd get mugged. No, just kidding. Shady as in, shade. So look for it there, but it's very, very prevalent, and it goes from here all the way up into Alaska. Oh yeah, Rebecca. Yeah. So question: can you take dandelion with the liver pills? Yes, you can. There's no problem there. Okay, so trying to stay on the wild violet. So same as the dandelion, the wild violet. Each leaf is directly attached to the root system. So you have the root underground, and then each leaf goes directly to that root. So wild violets. Focus. Wild violets do not have a stem. All the leaves look like they're coming directly out of the ground. And when you dig it up, you'll find the root. The leaves themselves, we can see this here. Oops. Okay. You'll see are heart-shaped with the lobes dropping below where the stem is attached. So it's like a very significant here. We can do it like this. There we go, heart-shaped, and there's the stem. So very significant heart-shaped pattern. The vein pattern, it's a little easier to show it. Let's see, is it? Yeah, here we go. Here's a better one. This is called a palmate vein structure, where you have multiple thick veins coming up from the base here. So if you think the base where the stem is attached to the leaf as the palm, and then all the other veins come off it like fingers from a hand. So palmate has multiple thick veins running from the base of the stem out to the edge of the leaf. And then if we look really closely, you can see there are finer veins coming off those central finger-like veins. So palmate, think fingers, coming off a palm, and then there will be more hairs coming off those, or more veins coming off there. Okay, let me pull up the flower. Let's see, wild violet. There we go. See all. Let me pop this over. Okay. So the wild violet flower, it has technically, there's some debate there. So does it have 4 petals or does it have 5? Well, it has 5, but 2 of the petals are fused together. So they'll have a lower kind of lip here where these 2 petals are kind of fused close together, and then 3 more petals around the top. Let me see if I get a better picture. Here's another one. Actually, so almost like 6, but you have the lower one where it's 2, kind of petals fused together, and then the others around it, more standard looking petals. So you'll have a petal with the two points, and the rest will just be individual petals. And then the color, of course, will be a violet color. The flowers, they will be one flower at the end of each stem. So there's not a good, let me see if I get a better one here. Yeah, not really. Okay, but there'll be one flower at the end of each stem. There won't be any other leaves or flowers coming off the stem. And kind of you can see on here. Oops, I have to bring it over here. It's hard to do by myself. So we have some flower buds here that actually these flowers have already opened and now they've turned into seed pods. But I don't know if you can focus on that, if it'll let me. Oh, there we go. Okay, those pods are the seed pods that formed after the flowers passed. But the flowers will it'll put up new stems, new flower stalks, new flowers, and then new seed pods throughout the winter season. The uses, it's a very fairly bland green. So best way to describe the flavor is like really bland spinach. Not a lot in the way of minerals, but again, extremely high in vitamin A and vitamin C. So it's used most often as a salad green. Just pop and start eating. You can eat the leaves and the flowers and the root. Warning on the root. Well, the whole plant is fairly high in a mucilaginous material. So if you eat a bunch of the leaves, it's going to take on an okra-like texture, not quite as slimy as okra, but you will notice there's a somewhat sliminess to the leaves. I won't say sliminess. Sliminess is too strong. A slickness to the leaves. That's good. The root is loaded with that mucilage, which in the end, no pun intended, makes it a fairly potent laxative. So if you are having some issues with bowel movements, the root of the wild violet can help with that. So I don't know why I'm going red here. As far as medicinal properties go, the mashed up roots, because they do have that mucilage in there, they do help with irritated tissues. So, I mean, like think aloe vera, a very low slime aloe vera. The other use is, so the mucilage material, one of the things the mucilage does is it likes to bind to sugar really well, sugar molecules, and hold on to them and only slowly release them. So a lot of the foods with the mucilage in it are really good at helping control blood sugar content, because let's say you ate a bunch of potatoes and the stomach's going to break the starch down in sugars. You're going to get this huge spike in blood sugar. Well, if you add the wild violets to the meal, or okra, any of the slimy foods, but in this case, we'll go with wild violets because that's what's out right now. The mucilage will grab onto the sugars and slow the release of the sugars. So instead of getting a big spike, you get more of a flattened curve. Where have we heard that before? So, yep. Oh, okay. Okay. Brandy, I've seen some with white flowers. Are they the same? Yes. There are a number of varieties. The overall structure will be the same. The structure of the plant in general and the flowers in particular, but the colors can range from white to light pink to dark pink to purple to blue, across the spectrum of white to blue purple area. So, and then yes, you can eat the flowers. The flowers are quite tasty. One of the things that's real popular to do with the flowers by confectioners is they'll dip the flowers in like egg white and then in sugar and candy the violet flowers, and then use these candied violet flowers as decorations on cakes and cupcakes and things like that. Okay. So that's the wild violet. So right now, look for it in mowed yards, open sunny fields, anywhere where there aren't a lot of tall plants. It doesn't like being smothered. It likes being out. So it likes flower beds. It likes grass. It likes disturbed areas. It likes shady woods all year round. So the ones out in the woods are going to be getting really big right now as they try and grow the leaves bigger to try and get the little bit of sunlight that's coming through. So, but the main thing is more of the darker soils. So the rich organic matter soils or well fertilized soils that have some dampness to them. Okay, just quick check of questions, check of time. Okay, let us do a quick commercial break. So I ask that you stick around for these, but I will understand if you don't. I'll just be heartbroken because these are the sponsors that keep me doing this, basically. All right, so let me pop over to here. One of the things I wish is that the StreamYard could share more than one window at a time. So let us jump over and talk about herbs over there. Derek Bible, most of you know him as Ricardo Shilly Shally. So the herbal shop up in Cushing, Texas, he is a fully trained, greatly experienced herbalist. Forager herbalist, does a lot of his own collecting of plants and also acquires plants from other places. What's great about herbs is he will do a Zoom call with you and discuss, your issues, get some medical history, all these things that really need to go into then customizing a herbal blend for you. And he has the ability to make tinctures. He has the ability to make capsules. He has the ability to make tea, all sorts of different things. And just a great thing. He also will sell of course he sells the Medicine Man stuff, but he can also sell the, there we go, bulk herbs sort of thing. So slow internet connection. Yeah. So if you're looking for just some of the bulk herb to make your own blend, he has all sorts of stuff there to help you with that. So check him out. And then thank you, Derek, for your support of Foraging Texas. Oh, and I should point out, if you use the Forking Weeds coupon code between now and midnight, you get 15% off your order. Okay, and then the other great sponsor is Campcraft Outdoors. And so they are a US-based company that helps support the bushcraft world. Bushcraft is more than just hiking. It's going off into the woods and maybe not quite going as far as pretending you're a caveman, but doing things the really old school way, mainly without having anything plastic. So their packs and bags and gear are all canvas, hand waxed to make them waterproof, and just amazingly good, durable, classic outdoors gear. So not only do they have all sorts of bags, they've also recently started working with some knife makers. So they have, some store-bought thing. Oh, hey, it's still got key. Anyway, they also started working with some local blacksmiths to make some custom knives. And this Real Striker, let me just show this. This is a fire striker. So it is a carbon steel thing that you can bang against flint to make sparks. And then there's this little divot in here for a hand drill making fire. So definitely give them a shout. And did I put up the link? I think I put up, yeah. And they have the Foraging Texas discount code that gets you 15% off. It's not just today. It's, anytime you put in an order with them. So definitely check them out. Okay, remove. Oop. And then let me do a thing here. Application window. Okay. Oops. Bring back me. All right. The next one I want to talk about, it's just starting to show up now, and it is called chickweed. So the chickweed, I don't actually have a sample. I've seen it out in some of the parks and stuff and out at other places. In fact, it was already starting to show up out at Cato Mounds Historic Site back in the beginning of October when I was out there teaching. But let's bring up chickweed here. Yay, chickweed. Okay. So right now, it's going to look like this small little nondescript plant. If we look closely at it, these are pine needles here. Whoops, these are pine needles here. So the leaves are itty bitty. They grow in what's called an alternating opposite pattern. So you will have two leaves sticking out from each other. Then the next set will be rotated 90 degrees, sticking out and then down and down. So they will alternate opposite. So the leaves directly across from each other, but they will be rotated 90 degrees down the stem. So that alone, there are a lot of things that kind of look like that. The key to identifying chickweed, and it's a little hard to see here, but there's a line of hairs. It is a single line of hairs. Think like the mane on the neck of a horse. So these tiny fine hairs in a single line running down the stem. But what's interesting about this line of hairs is it will start at one set of leaves, run down to the next set of leaves, and then at that lower set of leaves, that line of hairs will flip to the other side of the stem and then run down until the next set of leaves. So not only do you have the leaves kind of zigzagging down the stem, that line of hairs kind of alternates sides of the stem. There's no other plant that does that. It's an absolutely perfect way of identifying, making sure you have chickweed. Nothing else has that. Now, the flowers are small, very tiny, and white. They have white petals. Now, if you look at it, you'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 petals. And you'd be wrong if you looked at it really closely. And hey, you know what? I can do that. Wow. Zoom in. These are actually one individual petal. So these two petals are actually one petal, but the petal is very deeply cleft. So technically, it only has 5 petals, but they're so deeply cleft that they appear to be 10. So think little rabbit ears, 5 little rabbits in a circle. Now, this isn't the best picture, but the stamen, the male part, it is going to have 3, it'll have a stem, and then from the top of that stem, it's going to have 3 curled stamen parts where it's producing the pollen. And then you can also see the calyx, the Kermit the Frog color. It is hairy there. And the edges of the leaves themselves are kind of fuzzy. But the main thing is that hair along the stem. Okay, so what do you do with chickweed? It is an absolutely wonderful salad green. Oh, wait, let me see. Can I? All right, yeah, here we can see. So the hairs on one side, and then they switch over to the other side at the leaves. At the base of the leaves, we'll have 2 leaves, and then the little flower will come out from where the leaves are coming to. So let's put an drink of water. The chickweed, it likes growing. There's a good picture. Here we go. It loves growing up against houses, against fences. It likes being somewhat protected. So the first places it shows up is going to be in more of the cooler northern side of the house or fence, because it doesn't like direct sunlight until the year progresses, the winter progresses, and you get less sunlight. And then it will creep out into other places. So as using, it's just a great raw salad green, not super high in vitamins or minerals or things like that. It has some good stuff in there. The flavor is really good. And it is high in a compound called allantoin, which is a nature likes reusing things. So if it finds a molecule that's easy to make from different things, it will use it. So in chickweed, no one's really sure what purpose the allantoin serves in chickweed, but in humans, it is a hormone that tells damaged cells to do the healing process faster. So the chickweed is a good wound healer, good for irritated skin, insect bites, scraped knees, minor burns, things like that. If you have a deep wound, not so good because it does not have antibiotic properties. But as far as edible, it's good. And minor skin wounds, like I said, irritations, burns, insect bites, skinned knees, rough, dry hands from the dry winter air, the smearing them with mashed up chickweed actually helps a lot. Any questions on chickweed? I do see Andrew. Let me just jump back here. So Andrew, yeah. In the classes I talk about with wild violets, just the fact that, quick history lesson, World War II started, the US government started testing all the incoming soldiers for nutritional deficiencies, found out pretty much all the young men coming in were deficient in, or vitamin and mineral deficient, except for the ones coming in from Appalachia. Multi-year study found that the reason the ones coming from Appalachia were so healthy was due to their eating of the wild violets because of the high vitamin content sort of thing. So really cool there. Okay. Oh, you know what? It would have helped if I had put up the Foraging Texas link to chickweed. So later on, you can go check these out. And I don't know if I put up the wild violet or not. So some of you may have noticed, oops, come on, you can do it. There we go. The rather frantic and somewhat haphazard way I'm doing things. And that's just because I don't have a lot of time to prepare anymore for these shows. So I'm just kind of picking a topic and throwing the stuff out there as we go. Because getting lots of stuff assembled beforehand just isn't possible in my life right now with everything I'm doing for Medicine Man. So thank you for understanding the somewhat haphazard nature of these presentations and digging around from pictures and all that sort of thing. Oh, stop that. Sorry, I'm talking to the Microsoft Auto Updater. It really wants to update things, and I'm telling it to go to hell. Okay, ooh, good question. So are there poisonous mimics for chickweed? No, there are not. The one mimic for chickweed, and let me bring this up. Is horse herb. Let me bring this up. And it is non-poisonous. It looks similar to chickweed in that it has the same shaped leaves. The leaves alternate, so they do the opposite, alternating, opposite, alternating. The main difference is the entire plant is very coarse and hairy. So the leaves are all hairy, all surfaces of leaves, not just along the edge. The stem has hair all around the stem. So just the fact that it does not have that single line of hairs that runs from leaf to leaf is a strong indicator that what you have is not chickweed. And then the horse herb also makes the small little yellow flowers instead of white. Now, horse herb no nutritional value for humans, no real vitamins or minerals. The main thing you get from it is fiber. So, like in a starvation situation, you can eat it to fill your stomach, but also keep in mind you just ate a hell of a lot of fiber. So, be ready for the results of said fiber. But that is the only real mimic of the chickweed. Let me zoom in here some. It's a little hard to see, but all these little gray spots, all this is hair all the way around about the stem. I will say horse herb, at least in the Houston area, makes a great ground cover. It's taken a long time and very, very understanding and loving neighbors, but my front yard is now all horse herb, not grass, not the St. Augustine grass. It's all this stuff. So it took some battles with like the homeowners association and so forth, but it is a very good low maintenance, low water, really durable, green all year round sort of yard. And frankly, I think more people need this rather than St. Augustine. Okay, so I'm getting off topic here. Let me go. Let's see. All right. So now let's go to another big favorite of mine. And I'll put the link up here. Cleavers. Now, a lot of people hate this plant. So, okay. So let's bring up, here's a good one. So, wait. Here's a good one too. So cleavers, a lot of times people will refer to this as Velcro weed or sticky weed. This is the one that is covered with tiny, grippy little hairs that cause it to stick to clothing, to hair, to pets, all that sort of thing. So Velcro weed, sticky weed, cleavers are all the same thing. Now, you don't want to just eat this, especially not raw, because all those clingy little hairs, I was hoping we could zoom in, will cause it to cling to your throat when you try to swallow it, which is very uncomfortable. Okay, yeah, here's some good one. So these are all little tiny hooks on the leaves and on the stem and everywhere. So the plant is covered with tiny hooks. It's one of the names Velcro weed and why it clings to everything so well. The main claim to fame of cleavers is it is absolutely loaded with vitamin C. Just absolutely loaded with vitamin C. More vitamin C than lemons and limes and oranges. But how do you get the vitamin C if you can't eat it? Well, you make a tea out of it. And one of my favorite things to do in the winter is go out and get a bunch of cleavers, mash them up, the fresh green cleavers, mash them up, rupture them because the vitamin C is inside the cell walls. So crush it up. Oh, there we go. And then bring some water to a boil. Oh, this has stinging nettle and some other stuff in it. Don't I have? Wait. Yeah. Okay, we'll go back to that. I thought I had a picture of it as the tea somewhere. I have it on another name. So bring some water to a boil without the cleavers in it. Bring the water to a boil. Pull it off the fire. Let it cool down for about 5 minutes. And then drop a wad of crushed up cleavers in it. So I'll go with about a pint of water. And then kind of like a lime-sized clump of cleavers that have been mashed up, chopped up, crunched, ruptured the cell wall. Put it in the water that is no longer boiling, has cooled down for 4 or 5 minutes, and then let it sit in there for a good 20 minutes or so. Then strain out the cleavers using the food safe foraging bandana, because you still, even after being soaked in that hot water, those hooks are still there. It still has the grippy thing. So you're going to have a problem with it swallowing it. But at that point, the vitamin C has left the cleavers and entered the tea, along with assortment other kind of herbal greenery type compounds. And the end result is a beautiful emerald green sort of tea that has a nice herbal taste to it. It doesn't taste like you're chewing a vitamin tablet. It actually has a very nice blend of flavors. Why don't I boil it? Remember, vitamin C is temperature sensitive. And so what this means is for every minute over 180 degrees Fahrenheit, you lose 10% of the vitamin C present in the plant. It just gets destroyed. So if you're boiling it, you're well over 180 degrees, and you're boiling it for a while if you don't know what you're doing. So the end result is you lose pretty much all the vitamin C, which is one of the main reasons you were drinking the cleaver tea. Okay. When cleavers are really, really small, when they're like under about 2 inches in size, the leaves are going to be very round, very close to the stem, and it won't have that sort of sticky feel to it, clingy feel to it. It will feel kind of bumpy, but not sticky. At that point, you can still eat the cleavers just raw. So when they're really young, really small, I really try and get them when they're under an inch in size. And at that point, raw, right out of the ground, to me, they taste like snap peas or snow peas, just a little pea pod type thing. So they're really good there. But once it starts to cling, which happens pretty quickly, you can't eat it. Now, between 1 inch and about 3 inches, you can still boil it, but in boiling it, you are going to lose the vitamin C. But at that point, the plants themselves become fairly limp and noodle-like. And so it's fun to use the short, the young cleavers, like 3 inches or less, as green noodles in like pasta dishes. So use the young cleavers instead of pasta noodles, or half pasta noodles, half cleaver noodles. And that's kind of fun to do. As the plants get 4 inches or longer, the stems become woody. And even then, even after boiling, they still stay hard. So, above 3.5 inches, don't bother trying to eat the stem, even after cooking it, trying to make it limp like pasta, because it won't get limp. But once the cleavers get really big, and so I don't know if so this is just a big mass of the cleavers. At this point, you can still extract the vitamin C, but the other thing to do is use them for what I call a backpacker's colander, or a backpacker's strainer. So let's say you are making something with pasta, you have to strain out the water, and for whatever reason you don't have a lid with little holes in it to use as a strainer, or a lot of the pots and backpacking cookware nowadays has a strainer lid. But back in the ye old days, we would use clumps of the cleavers as a strainer. So you just clump up a big wad of the cleavers and strain your pasta through that. Kind of fun. So as far as identifying characteristics, which maybe I should have done right at the beginning, but here's a good thing. If you look at the leaves form what's called a whorled form. So you have the stem, and then the individual leaves all grow in a circle around the stem. And then it'll move down and you'll get another circle. And it can vary. Usually it'll be 5, 6, 7, somewhere like that, depending on the age and maturity of the plant. A lot of times 5, but sometimes you'll get other odd numbers. The stem itself is going to be somewhat squarish. Is there a, let me get a better picture here. I don't know if I have a really good picture of the stem. That was probably my best one. Yeah, maybe here. We can zoom in a little. But the stem itself is square, and then the leaves grow in a circle around it. The flowers appear at varying stages. Well, at the towards the end of the growth of the cleavers. Mainly they're going to be at the end of the branches, but the branches can branch, if you will. So you're going to have a stem coming up, but you will have other stems coming off it. And then the flowers are usually found at the end of the branches. And again, it's hard to get a picture of them because they're very white. And so they reflect the flash and everything really harshly. So I'm still trying to master the art of photographing white flowers. But the flowers themselves have 4 petals, as you can hopefully see here. There really is no mimic for cleavers. Between the stickiness, the whorled leaves, the square stem, and all parts of it being sticky, there's no other match for it. Now, what's surprising, though, is what family the cleavers fall in. And they are in the same family as coffee beans. And I'm not going to put the family up there because off the top of my head, I don't remember it. But they're in that same family. So there is some belief that cleavers will offer caffeine. There's no caffeine in cleaver leaves, or just a minute amount of caffeine in the vitamin. Caffeine in the cleavers. I really should sleep some night. Anyway, yeah, so no real caffeine, even though they're related to coffee. You got to go to Yopon Holly for the coffee. Okay. We're actually going to run a little late, but that's okay because I got, I want to, let's throw up something for the hill country people here. So the next one we're going to talk about is horehound. So this is another wintertime weed. And horehound. And this you are going to find basically starting in the hill country and going all the way out into Big Bend. And this is in the mint family. So kind of like the chickweed and the others we talked about, the leaf structure has that alternating opposite leaf structure. That's one of the structural ways of identifying a mint. It has the 2 leaves opposite each other. You move down the stem, they'll be rotated 90 degrees. You move down the stem, they'll be rotated down, down, down. The stem is going to be square. That is another sign of a mint family. In the case of the horehound, the stem and the leaves are very fuzzy. So a very soft fuzz, almost linty, like the lint on in your clothes dryer. The leaves themselves are very wrinkled. They almost look like a brain to me. I'm trying to think, try and get a good side shot here. So yeah. So here you can see the square stem, the opposite leaves, and then so these are on this wider side. If you get up to the next set, they're, alternating and away you go. You can see these fine little hairs on it and just the very wrinkly high surface area of the horehound leaf. So very wrinkly. The vein pattern, I don't have a good picture of it. I don't think. Maybe on this one. Yeah, here we go. So we're back to that pinnate vein structure where you'll have multiple veins coming off from the base where the base of the leaf meets the stem, and like fingers coming off the palm of a hand. So palmate. If you crush it, it has a very strong, musky, mint sort of smell. Now that I think about it, wet dog smell isn't right, but it's not far wrong. So the horehound, it's not one you eat raw. It's not one you add in salads. You can make a tea out of it, or also it's often made into candies. You might have heard of horehound candies. Some of your grandparents or some of you who have excellent taste may actually enjoy the taste of horehound candies. Okay, here's another way, in my opinion, of describing the flavor of horehound. It's like root beer barrel, the root beer candy. So root beer barrel meets black licorice. So it's kind of an acquired taste. The question then is, why the hell are you taking something like that? Well, it is a wonderful medicinal mint, especially for colds, coughs, flu, congestion, anything where you need to kind of like open up sinuses, maybe even induce a little sweating, things like that, trying to basically stimulate the body's own healing processes and infection fighting processes to try and force the bad things out. Because I get the impression that a lot of the bacteria, maybe even some of the viruses, don't like horehound any more than anyone else. But it's a really good medicinal herb tea or candies for inflammation, sore throats, and then all the irritating symptoms of colds and coughs and flus and things like that. Okay. Where you find it, like I said, the drier areas, you start in the hill country and head west out into Big Bend. It doesn't like to be completely out in the open. Normally you will find it like kind of on the drip line along the outer edge of cedar trees or Texas juniper, Texas cedar trees. And then as you get more into West Texas out and even the hill country, around also the mesquite trees. So it doesn't want full sun. It doesn't want full shade, but it likes a little bit of protection. So it seems to be mainly prefers to grow out, right around the edges of the trees. So out, what we call the drip line, where, the outer branches, the outer edge of the branches, the circle there. I've tried growing it in the Houston area, and Jackie is here tonight. I know she's tried growing it, and it does not like Houston soil. It seems to like things a little more basic as opposed to the acidic Houston soils. But out in the hill country in West Texas, this is often considered to be an invasive, noxious weed, and they don't like it. If you go, did I put up the link? Yeah, okay. So if you follow the link to Foraging Texas, there's actually the directions on how to make the horehound candy. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy. It has a lot of sugar in it, but it works pretty easy. Okay. I know we're past 9. Thank you for sticking with me here. I want to stop screen. I need to do a shout out to 2 more of my sponsors. Otherwise, I feel horribly guilty. Okay. So let us pop over to ArborTrue. They are the ones that are paying for the high-speed internet connection that I use. So ArborTrue, they are tree doctors. They are true tree doctors. Their company can then look at your tree, test to see what sort of disease, pest, infection, fungus may be attacking it, and then offer different types of treatments to help get rid, or hopefully get rid of the particular illness that is attacking your tree. They also do all sorts of tree trimming, removal, all that. You can see stump grinding. They are based out of Kingwood, but they have crews that will go all over the Gulf Coast area. A lot of them are out in Louisiana right now cleaning up after the various hurricanes. But not only do they offer the tree service, but they also offer a whole yard treatment with their special proprietary bioorganic plant stimulant that is a human-safe, plant-safe bacteria that symbiotically binds with the plants and takes the nitrogen from the air and converts it into the nitrates that the plants need. So it's basically a living, reproducing source of fertilizer. So really amazing people. Check them out. And let me just put up the link for them. And then, of course, the Fear and Dread. Yay, Fear and Dread. So your fully functioning store, surviving everything you need to survive in crazy end of the world type times, or a walk out in the woods, or a quick trip to Detroit, if you want the combat tourniquet sort of thing, wilderness survival gear, and then of course also a fully operational firearm and ammo store. So did I put I put the link there. And with them, if you use Merriwether, you get 5% off each purchase of $100 or more. So good thing they are located out in Vidor, Texas, but of course they ship everywhere. Okay. Let's see. You've been to the song. Okay, yeah, Wild Food. I've heard it. I don't remember how it goes off the top of my head. But I'll check it out on YouTube again. Okay, we didn't get through as many plants as I wanted. I'm praying that I have a little more free time to get these things set up better. Next week, I got the plants. I just need to, I think I'll build a folder with the pictures in it so I don't have to hunt around. But I'll try and do what I can for you. At this point, though, it's well after 9. You've been listening to me babble for over an hour. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your understanding. Thank you for your desire to learn, because that is what it's all about. My goal is to take this and put it in there. We'll see if I accomplish that. All right, everyone. Love you very much. See, hopefully, a lot of you tomorrow, same place, same location, here on Facebook and on YouTube for the Donut Shop at the Beginning of the World. If you haven't been there, it's basically a coffee clutch sort of thing where I just babble and answer people's questions, and we offer support to one another, and just kind of hang out like a bunch of friends. And what's cool about it is you show up once and you are our friend. Okay. At that point, I got a lot to do. So I will see you all tomorrow morning, bright and early. Take care. Love you all. See you next week. See you tomorrow. All of that. Bye-bye. That's called the Minnesota long goodbye, in case you were wondering, because Minnesotans don't know how to